our common ancestors foresaw this coming. There's written text in there about famine and pestilence and protection for our peoples. And protection inherently working together to overcome something like of this challenge of magnitude for not just Treaty 6, but the world.
So far, we've been very fortunate, and there's been no cases on reserve. Most of the chiefs have been very proactive out there. They've got good plans in place, and they've got checkpoints going into their reserves. They're working, they've all contacted me before they've done it. They've contacted the RCMP. They work with our Minister of Infrastructure to ensure that what they're doing is not blocking critical infrastructure and emergency supplies can still get through. But they've been trying to keep their reserves closed from outside traffic coming in, and if somebody does come in, they're making sure that they isolate. Some of them have also put in curfews for young people, so that from 8 till 8 that they get back to their homes, and they're not, because of course young people think that they're 6 feet tall and bulletproof sometimes, and so we have to be careful with our young people. They understand how important this is, and the chiefs are working very close to protect their people as best that they can.
First Nations on reserve are doing what they can to uphold their sovereignty and protect their borders in a good way. But we have such a big, high urban Indigenous population in Edmonton and in Calgary and Red Deer and Lethbridge and Grand Prairie and other municipalities that we do have to rely on friendships with the government of Alberta to help us protect those people. Our biggest concern was keeping a roof over our people's heads to self-isolate. You can't self-isolate when you're on the street as well as you could if you have a roof over their head. And for our people, there was a lot of anxiety that they wouldn't have a roof over their head. So he called me immediately when we said we're stepping up to ensure that they keep a roof over their head in the cities. People are really hurting right now because there's families of 12 people in a 3-bedroom house or 15 people in a 3-bedroom house. There's some unique aspects of that on the First Nations and what they're really scared of too, especially in the remote ones. I commend those First Nations that are taking action to protect their borders, just like Canada is doing. So those are kind of some of the priorities, especially the border protection. The one thing too is, as the minister mentioned, is food security. We were happy to hear that when the parks closed and access closed to certain lands for Albertans, because they need to be, they acknowledge that we can still hunt as Indigenous peoples because it is a treaty right. So those are some of the small issues or unique issues that Indigenous people are facing.